Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Had a bit of a break, but we're back now with game number 3. Kind of crazy to see that here between NaVi and Whites. Didn't quite expect that here. We were ready for that turnout into a quick 2-0. But Whites with a very convincing performance here in game number 2. Pulling it out in, 75 minutes or something like that, a victory?
74, I think, yeah.
Yeah. And now, well, one more time. NaVi actually facing an elimination right now.
Crazy to think about
Crazy
it.
to think about
Crazy
it.
to think
Exactly.
about it. But it is a new game, so I think, you know, it's a very mental aspect, and I believe, you know, a team as experienced as NaVi will be able to reset properly. That said, I think Whites will, you know, there's momentum. That's definitely a thing, right? The momentum in, you know, knowing that, well, we just pushed NaVi to the edge, we just won a game against them, we can do it again. Obviously, we have a new draft, and as a result, we have a couple of new faces. We have a Witch Doctor for NaVi. They also pick up yet again the Night Stalker, but on White's side, they are the ones now going for the Tiny. So basically denying that from NaVi and taking it for themselves, and once again going for the Winter Wyvern. Again, we highlighted it at the end of the game. This Winter Wyvern probably among the MVPs, probably like a shared MVP with the Nyx Assassin, I'd say. So I'd say a comfort pick and a good pick here for now.
Yeah, I mean, you already have a decent combo potential with the Tiny. It's great with the Cold Embrace against the Witch Doctor. Right? You only have some guaranteed tools and some guaranteed things that work in your favor with that hero, so it's always nice to have. And it's also one of the reasons why that hero is so popular in the meta, right? It's the way these drafts are shaping up. There's always something for the Winter Wyvern to do and to be impactful with. But NaVi, no Witch Doctor, pretty strong as well, just for the sustain. The Maledict is extremely powerful with the right combinations, like Night Stalker. Void has a pretty decent burst damage attached to it here, then they can also pick up some other heroes that combo up with that. And that's something that Whites still have to be careful about, because especially in the early game, that's something that the Cold Embrace might not save you from.
In the bans, you know, we see a lot of targeted bans. NaVi don't want to let this Brute Mother go through again, of course, and also the Monkey King, also, you know, something that Whites feel very comfortable with. On White's side, they know, you know, General, one of the best bad redders in the business probably right now, so taking that one out as well. For NaVi, I think there's a variety of heroes that could pick up. Likely, this is going to be a 4-position Night Stalker, and they could look towards something that can play aggressively with the Night Stalker. I know that they've coupled this with the Brewmaster before, and I think this could be really good, a strong combo. Brewmaster is also generally good against the Tiny, being able to throw him up in the air, obviously, and just being able to dive the Wyvern as well. Wyvern obviously has a defensive ability, but Brewmaster generally also one of the better heroes to deal with the Cold Embrace. So I look forward to, you know, an aggressive offlane here from NaVi potentially. I mean, pretty much every game thus far we've seen NaVi just play really aggressive with the offlane. Even with the Tusk, they tried to play very aggressively against the Brute Mother. Didn't always work out, but that's sort of like the mentality they have, right? With the Night Stalker as a 4-position. Make sure that you create space and, you know, force rotations ideally from the enemy.
Yeah, I wonder if they, with that in mind, I wonder if they even want to go back to like something like the General Clockwork. It's very accomplished in that particular hero, and that would fit kind of into that kind of idea. You will not necessarily be able to run down the Tiny, you can always toss you back out. But alright, they answer the question immediately. They go back for the Tusk instead. And what's White's response going to be to that? I mean, last game was the Brute Mother, it was not susceptible to that hero. Do you just go for more mobility like that, or do you just go for tankiness instead for your extra cores?
5 seconds remaining.
Good question. I do think you want something more mobile, just because right now there's a lot of kiting potential on Navi's side with the shards, with the cask, even the Night Stalker slow, of course. Depends on how they want to run this Tiny. If it's going to be a general Tiny-ish, right, or if it's going to be like a carry Tiny. They're going to go for the Viper, so a target that's difficult to kill. Together with the Winter Wyvern, there's a lot of like protection. Like I mean, we saw in the last game how difficult it was sometimes for NaVi to actually kill the Viper.
Yep.
Then they had troubles killing the Viper in that Cold Embrace, and that's sort of like the strength of the hero. Really, he dominates the lane, and then in mid game, depending on his item choices, it's really difficult to actually get to him, like to deny him that strength. Even if he has deceptively low damage afterwards, because obviously, you know, building into like defensive items doesn't give you any damage. He still adds a lot of like slow and kiting potential. NaVi go back for the SF makes a lot of sense just because they feel comfortable on the hero, and it's just a really strong. I mean, he dominated the Viper. Right?
He did,
He absolutely destroyed the Viper. So makes sense to go back for that, really.
Just sticking to the guns, not really being phased, and it plays into what you said earlier about the mentality that a team like NaVi has. Right? They will be able to shrug a game like that off and bounce back, even with the same heroes. And Whites, well, we'll see whether they have that same thing, right? That same idea, or like similar ways of approaching that, carrying, like being able to carry the momentum is also a skill in its own right. So now they get themselves the Underlord, so more AoE control, more damage from that, sustainability if he goes down that mech route.
10 seconds
looks to me like mid-game pushy teamfight kind of strat.
5
From
seconds
Whites, yeah.
remaining.
As for NaVi, I'm looking at 2 heroes right now that I think Crystallized has played before, and I think that really pair up with nicely with his lineup. Either CK or the Void. Obviously, there's natural synergy with the Void and the Witch Doctor in this SF, with the Chronosphere, but also just lane control, and then of course the CK just really strong in the lane as well. There's a lot of kill potential. Underlord generally really tanky, but CK with the Maledict really strong.
10 seconds
So they
remaining.
should be able to chip through that Underlord in the laning stage as well.
5 seconds
Whites is in a bit of an
remaining.
awkward position. If this is a carry tiny, then they have a last pick for a roamer, and I mean there are technically a bunch of roamers left, but I'm not sure if one of them is in particular going to be really like game. Like, is it really going to make a huge difference? NaVi banned the Doom, so they expect something greedy out of Whites, like a greedy 4 position. And technically speaking, they could do still a greedy 4 position. If they put the tiny there, they could technically just pick up a different carry right now, right?
Yeah.
Just pick something with more AoE control. Maybe go for the Void themselves. The Chronosphere, I think, against NaVi is really strong here.
Oh, yeah.
They have a lot of ways to like deal damage during it, and they always can play around it. They have the Viper, right?
Yeah.
They can toss people into the Chronosphere. That's actually a really fun combo as well. So a lot of options for both teams, really. And I do think
5
that
seconds
among the
remaining.
Void, CK, there's at least one of those carries that I do believe one of these teams should be able to pick up. CK really strong against Viper as well.
Sven would be another one that has a bit of AoE control. Pretty decent against the Shadow Fiend, just mitigating a lot of the physical damage that he has, and not to mention the Witch Doctor, just having that extra armor at a moment's notice really could be a game changer, really.
The one issue I have with the Sven here is that he gets kited pretty easily.
Yeah.
With the shards, with the cask flying around, there's lots of ways to sort of like kite him around and just make sure that you negate all of his impact.
Yeah, there are ways to mitigate that though, right? You have the Winter Wyvern Curse, you have the Underlord in particular, the slows from the Viper, and the Tiny just tossing people into you. Like, either you toss the Sven in for the Stormhammer, or the other way around, you toss the enemy towards the Sven. So, if they're confident enough, they can probably play around that.
I wouldn't be surprised if Whites right now are debating, do we dare run a 4-position Tiny and just pick a carry, or do we pick like a... Yeah. I was just about to say, do we pick like a roamer, like the Nyx Assassin from the last game? So this is the safer route for sure. They did show that they were very confident and comfortable on these 2 heroes.
Yeah.
At the same time, I do think the reason why these 2 heroes worked out in the early game was of the lane configuration, and because nobody could touch the Broodmother's lane. So that forced NaVi supports in an awkward position where they had to also rotate between the bottom and the safe lane, and it always made it easy to pick somebody off, right?
Yeah.
Since there's no Broodmother factor in this game, I'm not sure it's going to be as easy for them to find those pickups, and I do think NaVi has the advantage here.
Luna, you may now
Going for the
select
Luna,
your
though,
heroes.
I mean, it adds natural push, of course, but I think the Luna is very susceptible here. Like, there's so much burst potential, and Luna isn't just as tanky as other heroes, and I feel like they could have used more control. I feel like a CK or Void could have provided more control against these heroes. That would have been necessary. And Luna is actually a double-edged sword here against the Winter Wyvern, right?
I mean, I also highlighted that in the last game, the lack of hard stuns. And it's an issue that NaVi also have in this game, right? You have the Task with a punch, you have the Luna with a mini stun, and the Cask is at least something that's better compared to the last game, but it's far from reliable, really. So I'm still worried that that might not be enough in the end. At the very least, they don't have that unpassable terrain hero in the Broodmother, because that really sealed the deal. They didn't have a way to bring her down.
Shall see. I mean, I guess they do have a little bit more lockdown, with the Witch Doctor already. That's already definitely a huge game changer. Or not a huge game changer, but quite a bit.
Yeah.
But that's also, I mean, I totally agree with you. That's why I was leaning towards, you know, those classic, you know, Void and CK heroes, something that Crystallize has played before. Just because they provide much more control. The Void especially, you know, the Chronosphere. I mean, Tiny with status resistance, he's just laughing at your face when you throw a cask at him. Or like any other traditional stun. Because status resistance just, you know, negates all of that, or most of that. But the Chronosphere, you can't status resistance off the Chronosphere. Like, you're just going to be stuck in there for the entire time. And I feel like they would have had enough combo material for that to work. But maybe they just feel more comfortable with the Luna, and they wanted more reliable push as well. And of course, you know, the Void does put them in an awkward position where they're cooldown dependent. Luna, not really cooldown dependent at all. I mean, yeah, you have the Eclipse, but you're not going to play around Eclipse as much as you play around the Chronosphere.
Yeah, not if you don't have to, right? Not if you desperately need that extra bit of damage output to secure kills. It's more of a opportunity kind of thing, right? You see someone isolated, you pop the Eclipse, or they run at you, you use that to turn around.
By the way, they're changing things up. It's a 3-position Night Stalker now, and a 4-position Tusk.
Huh.
So this game around, they're prioritizing the Night Stalker over the Tusk. And I actually like it. I actually like it because I think they need more. I think they need more map control with the Night Stalker here in this game. And we've seen in the SEA region, right? We've caused a couple of games where we've seen the Night Stalker sort of control the game in a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different ways to itemize the hero to still control the map and still control the pace of the game. You can, you know, go the very dominating route with the Shadow Blade we've seen, or just the traditional route with the Aghanim Scepter. Lots of different ways. And because they have a Nyx Assassin here, I wouldn't be surprised if this is more of a, you know, traditional Aghanim's kind of build.
It's a very common situation where you really value that Axe gem during the nighttime to make sure that you can see them coming. It's not just even the Nyx Assassin, also the Winter Wyvern. If Chill gets to the point where he again has a blink that force-up, which made it so easy for him to find these Wither's Curses. So we'll see how it works out.
It should also be noted that the support duo of Witch Doctor Tusk is a bit more potent when it comes to killing and ganking people, more so than the Night Stalker Tusk. Night Stalker obviously is very reliant on the first Night Phase as well. Oh, bottom lane, Nyx Assassin is being initiated upon. The Avalanche is going to keep them from killing him for now, so he's going to survive. He might even turn this around. Nope. He's going to cut his losses and scurry away.
Doesn't really have the move speed or the health points for you to withstand that. But actually sort of trilating this. Chill also hanging about. So, how's this going to work out? I mean,
they have a lot of kill potential on the Witch Doctor. Yeah. As long as the Luna can sort of like keep the wave close to the tower, I don't think they should be able to kill her. But generally speaking, yeah, this Witch Doctor is in grave danger. That's why they have to rotate the Tusk here as well.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm not even sure this favors Whites at all, because Dendi, if the last game is any indicator, Dendi's just going to dominate this matchup again, and the Viper is the one that needs help. Like, Dendi can be here by himself, no problem. Top lane, Night Stalker against Underlord, he can just do what he's doing now, just pull the creep wave back, and he's also fine. So, unless they dominate this bottom tri-lane versus tri-lane, I feel like one of those supports has to rotate mid at some point.
Definitely seems to be the case. I mean, for now, you already see it, right? Dendi with the extra denies on top of the last advantage. It's just the problem with the Viper these days, ever since the change in Nether Toxin, that not giving you that extra free damage for last hitting, essentially. That particular part is now tied to the poison attack, which you don't want to use. It's 40 or 35 mana now on a very long cooldown. That's exclusively for harassment and not for right-clicking and lasting creeps. Maybe they win this bottom lane. Tusk actually blocks himself in with the shots, and it's not actually keeping Tiny away. The big old tree mains that you can do the damage, but the first blood being drawn by the other side, courtesy of the Maledict and the extra right-clicks and power and damage from the Luna. One for an exchange. Maledict, last dig not enough to bring down Tiny. Meanwhile, yeah. All right, this is what can always happen.
Didn't even use raises. Actually, he did at the very beginning, but he just at the end there he just walked up to the razor to the Viper and just killed him.
Questionable. Very questionable.
And again, this is why I think this tri versus tri lane is not favorable towards Whites at all. They really need to rotate the support, or one of the supports at least, to make sure that Dendi can't just do what he's been doing thus far. As I say that though, it's actually NaVi that have the support rotation here, and they might even be able to set up another kill with the snowball here.
Good eye shots here, one raise is enough mana for one more. Even with the stack damage, it's not enough.
I think he missed uphill twice. I think if that doesn't happen, they actually kills the Viper.
Yeah.
Bit unfortunate.
Or maybe if Tusk actually manages to make it up on the high ground and gets a few right clicks in of his own, or goes for body blocks, but Speaking of Tusk, he gets intercepted here by Storo, but two of them, even with the DD rune about to time out, not quite enough power to deal with a tanky hero like him. Now he actually snowballs up on a Tiny from the low ground. Massacre in a bit of trouble here. Maledict still taken away. Another Lucent Beam off cooldown. He will die even without that.
Or will he? Or will he?
Well, I was talking about a Tiny, so he already died. Chill, tanking that on top of a couple of extra right clicks, and Tusk. He did not die. He really should have, but he didn't. He was just juking around the trees. And now he has to be careful about the retreat path that he's taking, though.
Well, this is definitely not looking good for White.
The cast. Bouncing to the creep wave, even though they're sitting right next to each other. It feels bad, man, but still. Avalanche, no Maledict this time, so Nyx Assassin should be fine. The toss will ensure the counter kill on the Witch Doctor support, and that'll also help the zone with Luna for the time being. A bit of a back and forth exchange here, but overall still in favor of NaVi, considering the way these other lanes are going. And speaking of the other lanes, Night Stalker, first nighttime, he's avoided initially, but the cast, well played Tsuneko with the rotation. Expecting that. Alright, I avoid, he's gonna TP, plenty of time for Witch Doctor to get in range to cancel it. Makes for an easy kill.
Honestly, NaVi is just styling on them at this stage.
Oh, bottom lane though.
This is really good for them. This is really good for Whites. They needed this desperately.
Oh yeah.
Like NaVi was just gonna get away with this laning stage for free. Like the night, obviously, you know, in terms of last hits, the Night Stalker is still not doing better than the in the other Lord, but he's never expected to anyway. But you know, he's getting his last hits. He also got a kill.
Yeah, and he's getting his levels. It's the one good thing about the off-lane Night Stalker, if you can get away with it in 1v1 up against a melee hero nonetheless like that. You get so much early levels. As a support Night Stalker, we often see him stuck at level 2 or at best level 3, but now he's already 5. He's gonna get 6 before nighttime ends, so he'll be able to extend that even further. And that is very scary indeed.
Oh, mid lane Dendi, he's being baited in.
Yeah, that is a slower connect, stun as well. A couple poison attacks if they want, and yeah, they should still find it in the end, and they do.
Ring of Aquila and the one bottom lane though, they do trade the Tiny for it.
Yeah.
Not a
little bit too late to the party there, but yeah.
Not a good trade for NaVi, but regardless, one they will have to take. But again, Dendi absolutely dominating his mid lane. In terms of net worth, 2.2k net worth in comparison to Viper's 1.4k.
Yeah, that is so crazy actually. Finally, they made one of these rotations that they were calling for earliest, but to offset that kind of a disadvantage, they need to do that at least like 2 more times.
And mid lane, the Tusk is here. Yeah. And they know that, unfortunately, the Courier scuts him out. Actually, did he? Yeah, he's been pinged out. Why?
Yeah, he's still in the river. The snowball will connect. The ice shot's there, ready to block him off and set him up for the raises.
Was pinged out.
He has to realize that he's not that tanky. Even if 2 points up on the Corrosive Skin is just not enough. Avalanche tossed back towards the tower. Crystallize. Yeah, he just
very dead.
Very least he dies to the dire side, so the gold bounty is split up a little bit.
Also doesn't lose any gold. Oh no! That toss!
Not sure about this one here. Bouncing back to the creep wave, so chill. Will die here with a TP in on top of the Maledicts. Viper falls again in mid as Underlord makes a TP around to go for the trade. 1 for 1 there, but down bottom. Skirmish continues. The Avalanche will hit him. They need to toss a tree, and they will. Not enough though.
Oh, the urn keeps him alive.
Tick.
That initial urn tick. Whites can catch a break. And they're behind 9 and 6. Dendi is just getting out of control. Yet again, killing the Viper.
Oh, Storo, next on the list. He's trying to make them work for it, and he will be successful in that with Maledicts. Yeah, they have no problems whatsoever finishing that kill. Again, we're in a situation, if you look at the levels. Right, Witch Doctor, level 4, almost 5. Tusk, 4.5. And Storo and Chill is spending so much time running about. Only one of them is about to level 4. Nyx Assassin. Not close to that. So that's the downside of going for this, especially in an aggro lane capacity, right? You're missing out on so many levels if you don't cut that out or get plenty of kills, and so far they haven't really been able to do that. But now, they're looking to try and fix it. Can't quite get in range for a toss, but it's done. Will connect max range to set that up.
If one of NaVi TPs down there, I actually think they could turn it around quite quite easily, but Tusk and Nightstalker are in a bit of an awkward position because they want to give Tusk more levels, and looks like they're going to set up for this kill. If they do get this kill, it's actually quite worth it, because losing the Luna at this stage doesn't matter that much. We've talked about this before with mid laners, right? Like, if a mid laner dies early on, it doesn't really matter because they can always fall back. Same with Luna.
Yeah.
Luna just farm stacks, and she'll be fine. So losing the Luna at this stage is not that big of a deal. Losing an Underlord, on the other hand, is quite the deal for the Dire side, because he was getting, like, the solo farm, right? He was the one. He was actually the second highest in net worth at that stage as well. So this is not good for good for Whites, but they need, they're doing what they have to do, rotating mid with the Tiny even. I like this, but unfortunately, it is also pretty obvious. Like, Witch Doctor solo farming bottom lane without anybody showing or trying to kill him. That's pretty telling. Yeah.
So Dendi will be making his way all the way into the side jungle. Chill. Kind of keeping tabs. He did scout that out. But there's no real easy angle to go into that.
They're reading this movement so easily. And it's because White's just... They're forcing it too much. They should have, after they realized that the SF wasn't around the tower, they should have just committed for the tower push.
Or it's a little bit too late.
Yeah.
TP coming through. They did a bit of chip damage, but now they have to abort. So try and get the hell out of here.
There's so much wasted time on 3 heroes. Tiny, one of them, being the highest net worth on the team as well. Like, wasting so much time is actually so bad for them.
Now the snowball. Still find the initiation. Vibe hanging around a little bit too much in the front lines, and well, Cold Embrace. The Raze is countering that out. They can't afford this.
They really can't. They just need Tiny to farm up a little bit more. Probably build into... Well, actually, it looks like they're building the Tiny into, you know, traditional gear items. So he's going to start out with the drums. I almost feel like he needs to build into something like the Shadow Blade or the Blink to alleviate the pressure from the other lanes, because he needs to gank with the team. Right now, the Nyx Assassin Winter Wyvern gank is just not sufficient anymore. And Viper, as he is, I guess he could technically gank with them, but it's really difficult because the support rotations from NaVi currently are on point. Like, NaVi control the area around the river from between mid and the top lane. Like, this is NaVi's area, effectively.
Yeah. Has no Meldic Legimus, so Neko not quite on the money there. Dump bottom to catch a bit of a break. At least they have the Tiny, right? This guy is kind of keeping up in terms of net worth.
For how long, though? TP's coming in.
That's a question, yeah. Catapult here, so a lot of chip damage being done. They really want to commit for him. Nice ice shots once again, blocking him off. The avalanche, no toss back on Dendi, but it'll still not be enough with the tower, as well as the Tusk hitting and slowing him down. So, yeah.
NaVi's been playing this really smart. They're all mid lane. This is almost a solo kill, isn't it? It is.
Oh, God. Cask
Maledict
into the ultimate.
Yeah, it's the easiest setup for the Witch Doctor. Doesn't need any support, and there's nothing that Viper can do about it. Bottom lane looks like they want to dive this Wyvern. I'm not sure about how I feel about that. Without the SF, I don't think they have enough damage. Chill, though. Inching forward, and they're going to dive next.
He's going to fall. Tiny is there. Okay, Avalanche will be dodged by the snowball. But Chill is still very much alive. The last Void will be used to finish him off. But now, also rotation for Underlord. They need to get something here in return, and they will find counter kill on Tusk.
It's a support Tusk, and they rotate everybody around for this, and now Crystallize can push top, right? They don't touch the SF. The Witch Doctor is just farming mid lane for the past 2 minutes after killing the Viper as well.
Seems good. I mean, we talked about the power of this Witch Doctor, about how strong Maledict can be. We've seen it in a pickoff. But now, well, Underlord uses Ultimate to get back up to the top lane to prevent that tower push from the Crystallize, together with the normal TP in from Storo, now the Tiny. So they are spreading out a little bit. And Viper's story of this game. He just needs to try and catch up on the side.
He's already there. It's just really good awareness from NaVi. And now the Nyx Assassin spent the entire duration of his ultimate sitting behind Crystallize, trying to set up for this kill. They don't even get it. Yeah, they're going to set up for this tower, but at the same time, Navi's going to set up for a tower bottom. And I don't know. I just feel like these trades for Whites just aren't worth it. They never really are worth it, because Navi always comes out on top. Like, Whites is currently grouped up as 4 or 5. Maybe they get the Tusk. Do they?
Maybe they don't. I'm not sure. He's pretty tanky now. The shots kind of blocked him in, makes it very awkward to fight, and with the punch, with the extra nuke from the from Nightstalker. They get the turn kill on the store. Now they're hunting for more. Massacre picks himself up a tree, passes him back, but eventually he will be finished off by the Razors. Then he's just running away with his game much earlier than he did last game.
Oh, another solo kill from Soneko. This game is getting out of control for whites. Look at the net worth disadvantage. Despite being even in terms of towers taken, right?
Yeah.
They're behind 6k at this stage of the game. And the worst part is that their Viper is behind the Witch Doctor in terms of net worth.
Yeah. This is a mid Witch Doctor now. He's been sitting there for the longest time.
Effectively,
for a couple minutes. Yeah. And
Wyvern getting scouted out, but they obviously used the Void already, so no kill for him.
Not this time. Massacre turning things around, a bit of a... not quite the combo, I believe. Didn't get that extra damage through, but... it's still so hard to find him inside these trees. He's gonna have another flyby ability to get himself out. Underlord TP towards the creep wave. Want to continue here, but so does NaVi. Snowball on top of the Viper, I believe. Meanwhile, the Casket backstore does find the Witch Doctor, but he wants more. He wants a big kill. G-Arena here lets the ultimate go. Will still be tracked down in the end. Maybe not the damage reduction, but a nice little stun. Once again, Nyx Assassin showing us what he can do. Fire up the Storm. Frill finish off Soneko. He did lose Viper, it did lose Tiny, so this victory did not come at no cost in general. Yeah, look at him. He's just running down Nyx Assassin. Like ring around Rosie inside the tree line. 3-for-3 trade. Silent one with a double kill, but is that really worth it? I'm not sure, because Crystallize, he wasn't a part of that. He's pushing mid instead.
And at the end of the day, this is still just an Underlord. What is even? Let's say he gets 2k gold out of it. What does he do? What does it translate into? Like, it's not like a threatening item that he can immediately, you know, to turn the tides of the game. Maybe it's a mech. He doesn't even go for it. It looks like he's actually going to go straight for the Crimson Guard.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
I like it as well, but it's still not really going to, you know, it's not immediately going to diminish the threat of the team, and it's not going to allow them to take a tower fight or take a tower or take a fight, because that's just the nature of the hero. So it's very difficult for whites right now, but this is a small victory for them, honestly. Still getting the kill on Denny is really important. Yeah, you kind of lose your true course, but losing the Viper at this stage is not even that big of a deal because his net worth is super low. He's actually second lowest net worth in his team.
It is a big deal in the sense that it's not a big deal in the sense that he doesn't give too much away in terms of farm to the other team, but it is a big deal because him being taken out of the map for whatever ever low duration even, it still hurts so much because he needs to catch up eventually, and if he's dead he can't do that. So top tower will still fall, but they did trade for tier 1 bottom on the downside, on the bottom side of the map. Massacre taking care of that, and also take his tree to the tier 2 if they let him. Meanwhile, mids, initiation onto Luna. This could be a nice little kill. Also very high in net worth. Will eventually take out some damage over time, and now they call the taxi all the way back home. Will he be able to do it in time? No, he cancels it? What?
I don't agree with that at all. The Viper
they're all so freaking low. Now Denny coming in from the back. They've already lost one. They're gonna lose another couple of heroes eventually. Cat still fighting for his life, but it is a 3-for-3 trade that didn't really need to happen.
He still has the haste. He wants this Underlord.
Yeah. He's not done yet by any means. Oh, maybe he is. Just as I say that, of course. Making me a liar. Come on, G-Arena. Don't do this to me.
Now that was actually a pretty good trade. If you look at the net worth exchange, that's 2k net worth change for the Dire side, because obviously, you know, they do get the Luna and the Night Stalker. Night Stalker, third highest net worth in the game right now. So that's a very valuable target to get. I guess the idea of cancelling that ultimate was, alright, the Tiny's coming in from the backline. If we continue fighting here, maybe we'll get like a really good kill. Not necessarily in the ESF, but you know, they did get the Luna, they did get the Night Stalker, so I guess in the end it was the right decision.
I think in hindsight 2020 could have just as easily turned south.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
So the safer play would have been to just get the free kill that you got, then get out scot-free. Especially with the Witch Doctor ultimate going and all of that. But now there's these decks that you mentioned as well to make sure the Crystallize can keep up. But Storo, soaking some of that experience, keeping tabs on things, could set up for double stun, only finds Crystallize as Soneko walks out, but now there it is, Massacre taking over the one Luna again, and they'll get it. Snowball into the Pit of Malice, Soneko also isolated from the rest of the team because of that, but G-Arena TPing into the Shrine, looking to find some raises, but very cohesive unit right now. The Witch Doctor ultimate on the higher ground, but they'll be able to walk it off. There's a Maledict on the Tiny, but also just about to take out anyway. So he will be fine. Nyx Assassin, not so much. It'll be the target, the cask onto Dendy. Now another Pit of Malice into the Firestorm, but with the raises, that was a long range race. He can continue and, well, shield inside
with their in charge.
Oh yeah. But only just.
Spirit Vessel, rather.
Only just.
Yeah, there's a bit of awkward engagement. Once again, I would say that the Dire come out on top because they do kill the Luna, and they technically only lose the Viper again. It sounds so stupid to say that, oh, you only lost a mid lane. That's not that big of a deal, right? But I think at this stage of the game, you have to play the Viper in that kind of role. Like, just keep having him as a body that people will focus on, and just as long as he throws his ultimate and even just tagging spells, he's doing his job because, you know, I mean, it's still really annoying to deal with, right? And it just buys a lot of time and space for the Tiny to do what he needs to do. Top lane, General is being hunted down, and he's going to get stunned up and should be dead. Tiny does have a blink. Ah, that's a dead Nightstalk. Or is it? He's actually fairly tanky.
He should be. It is daytime, but he's also pretty speedy with the drums and the phase boots. Silence, but there's another blink if they guess correctly. There it is.
He's dead. Anyway, this actually is slightly getting worrisome for NaVi, I think, because this Luna is very squishy still. I mean, that was one of my gripes with this hero in the first place. It's very easy to kill, and the Underlord is super tanky. He is actually not going to go for the Crimson Guard, but instead finishing a pipe.
Okay.
Once he has the pipe, and I'm assuming afterwards he's going to go for a Crimson Guard. How do you kill that guy? Like, not with the Luna right now. Obviously, when you can isolate him, you're going to kill him. But during the team fight, I mean, we've seen the Witch Doctor ultimate hit him. We've seen Dendy hit him. Doesn't really phase him too much.
Yep. So it's starting to hit this timing where they not necessarily have everyone available, everyone where they want them to be. Like, we were talking about the Viper time and time again. But he's still, as you said, he's still a hero that they cannot ignore because poison attack, you do have that extra damage here when people are getting lower, and Corrosive Skin and Nether Toxin now online as well does its thing, so you need to try and bring him down as early as possible. And you also still have the Tiny at a decent net worth, and as you would just talk about the Underlord. So they are in a position where they can take fights, they can take skirmishes with the right angle, especially if they keep finding the initiations. Once again, this goes back to the Nyx Assassin being on point today.
Yeah. That is why I thought it was such a good pick in the end. Not necessarily because the Nyx Assassin is such a good hero in this game, but just because it was a comfort pick for them, and they proved to be really good with the hero, right? Going forward, NaVi probably need to take the pace out of the game for just a little bit. Yeah, it feels like you kind of need to do something with like a Nightstalker Tusk, but at the end of the day, Crystallize still needs to farm up. So I feel like, and even Dendy needs to farm, honestly. He has, what, Sanjinyasha drums? Those are fighting items, don't get me wrong, but I do think that it would be more beneficial for them to, if anything, maybe not overcommit with too many heroes, but just have like the Nightstalker Tusk roam around together just by themselves, maybe with a Witch Doctor, but that's about it. I don't really feel like they should continue these 5-on-5 fights because they're always going to have some casualties. If the Tiny and the Underlord commit to the fight, there's always going to be at least 1 or 2 heroes that are going to die, and you really cannot afford to have Crystallize just keep on dying. I mean, he's 0-5 and 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's part of 5 kills, but he also died 5 times.
Yeah, this is not exactly ideal. It's alright for support, I guess, if you really want to, but as a core, it's not where you want it to be. Alright, some Discord problems apparently, so hopefully we'll be getting back on the way if we have a bit of a breather, but there we go. Now they immediately resume. I want to wrap this up. I mean, this series, we started late, then we had a fairly quick game, back on track, then the very long game throws off schedule. I mean, the next round of CS has already started half an hour ago. So, it is what it is.
Dota, man.
It is Dota, yeah, so we're like 3.5 hours from the scheduled start time of the series right now.
Honestly, it's CIS Dota as well. A lot of CIS, at least if I think back to a lot of the qualifier games this year, had really long games. I remember Empire Vega, really long game, like the 2-hour game. I don't know. It's just, I mean, the teams just know each other really well as well. So it makes it, I mean, you know, at least in the later stages of the game where they really know each other, it makes it really difficult to just have these early stomps. Oh!
That's a quick link.
That's a really quick link. But again, NaVi looking to group up like this, I'm not entirely I don't really like this at all. yeah, they're going to go for a Roche, and they should be able to get this fairly quickly, but at the same time, there's a Wyvern, right? And this Wyvern has been so good already.
Yeah.
One
so
Winter's
I believe
Curse
a
here.
dire scan that scouts out that this is happening because Snake, I believe he was slightly on the outside. So they know that this Roshan is happening. It's gonna go down, it's gonna get on final enough. No, Snowrope blinking in. And with Spike Carapace, trying to bait it out with the ultimate. Nice cast on top of the Eclipse, on top of the Maledict and everything. This is what they were hoping for NaVi, and now instantly bring down 2 heroes. They dive in very, very deep, but they bring down another double kill for Snake of all people, and suddenly he pulls the emergency exit, presses the emergency exit button, bringing Massacre out of there. And now I was a little bit too gung-ho there from Store. I've been praising him earlier, but this was a little bit too early, and the rest of his team just didn't quite follow up immediately. They needed a better Winter's Curse. And, yeah, they needed to not get hit by a cast like that on top of the Eclipse.
It's also very... I wouldn't even call it unfortunate, because it's just also just bad play in a sense, because Underlord and Tiny just weren't in position to take that fight from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then they sort of forced the Nyx Assassin to blink in, because they needed a vision over the Roche pit to know, you know, how far along are they with the Roshan. We need to contest it, obviously. Forced them out of the Roche pit, but the Underlord and Tiny weren't there at that point. Meaning, you know, Wyvern and Viper could immediately be focused. So, but yeah, like you said, obviously the cask, of course, really strong. All mid lane, they know the Nyx Assassin is here.
I think they just pinged them out. They have a sentry up on the high ground. The Storo goes back in. They're waiting for him. Right? They're expecting this kind of a movement right now.
Oh, and he's gonna walk in.
Oh no, he doesn't get the blink off this time, and well.
Oh, that sets up the tower.
Yeah.
I don't think they want to hold this without the Nyx Assassin. I mean, they could technically. They do have the Winter's Curse again, and they do have the Tiny in a better position now. But General is here with a better position.
Yep. Ball stuffing forward, then he wants to bring in the right clicks and wants to focus on the raises. Winter's Curse just to try and give Viper a fighting chance here. Meanwhile, in the back, Crystallize forcing the rest of them away. And that'll certainly secure this tier 2 tower eventually. There's a new creeper coming in soon. For now, they can just rely on the Witch Doctor heals to keep them topped up. Another snowball up all the way to the high ground Avalanche, but Forstaff just trying to play that, make sure he's far enough away. We're just playing with whites at this point. Just forcing out spells, just relying on the tankiness and their mobility. Tindy actually dropping super low despite that.
He really doesn't want to give away the Aegis just for free, so he has to be really careful here. Nyx Assassin is hunting him. I believe Dendy should be aware of this. Not sure Nyx Assassin should be able to pop it, because Dendy is quite tanky right now. But yeah, NaVi is just playing it really cool. They know they have the advantage, so they know how far they can extend. You know, they're just poking and probing them. Like you said, they're basically playing with them to some degree. But yeah, I mean, they can afford to with the heroes at the moment. Yep. Again, this also comes back to a little bit of the draft, but also how the gold is distributed. Oh, bottom lane. Looks like
find
they're
Dendy
gonna
now.
jump
They already initiated. A little bit too early, actually. Tiny was not in range to follow up with a blink.
Yeah, I don't know about that. He had another roughly 10 seconds on his on the Vendetta still, so he could have technically been a little bit more patient. I guess the idea was, because he started raising down the wave, that would have been able he would have been able to kill the creep before actually the TP comes through, or the...
I think it was actually already turning around, so maybe that must have been what prompted that.
Anyway, it is a tier 2 for them, most likely.
Yeah.
Well, as I say that, actually NaVi looks to contest this. Without Crystallize? No, Crystallize is TPing in.
Certainly want to fight. Everyone's coming into the fray. Blink across, Sora finds 2, but a snowball to counterplay that. Meanwhile, Joey in the side, and the 1v1 up against the Viper. Hurricane Pike makes sure that he wins it. And yeah, 3 heroes down overall. That TP will be cancelled. Sailor will be next on the list. 4 for nothing. I guess they get the tower, but that's...
They get the courier.
The consolation prize. And the courier, alright. Still, consolation prize, nothing else. Now NaVi have another opportunity to just barrel down mid lane if they want to, and it looks like that's gonna be the plan.
Yep.
Still even have that Aegis for another 1.5 minutes or so.
You can really tell that NaVi have learned from the last game. Like, the way they position themselves during team fights is so different than last game. They prioritize the Wyvern much more than they did before. Like, General's sole focus was just making sure the Wyvern doesn't get the curse off, and then that's basically winning them the fight. Also, the fact that they're spreading, so they have like 4 or 5 mini fights instead of like 1 big fight, and it allows them to give them 1v1 scenarios in very favorable positions. Dendy versus Viper, 1v1 wins it 100%.
Yeah. Now, with the Luna on the field, of course, it's very easy to finish up the racks after the tier 2 tower has been breached. And not sure why Night Stalk is this deep. He will fall.
He got tossed in.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Now it's full-on retreat here called by NaVi. Storo finds a blink across. They might be able to finish off the Tusk. Don't know if Denny wants to stick around to try and help them out more. Still gonna take them a while, actually. And another force could save him, but it doesn't have it.
Oh, he almost pushed himself down.
He tried.
That would have been a play. But yeah, NaVi, you know, they still get out of that with just, I guess, yeah, minor casualties. Crystallize has become really strong. I mean, he's, you know, right behind Dendy in terms of net worth. And he has, like, a completed Mantis style and half of his BKB in the stash.
Invisibility.
Well, lies in this rune.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Really gotta do too much with that. They do at least finish up the tier 1 towers, a little bit of extra money in the bank, but it seems like a drop on of water on a hot stone right now. 12k still in
Dendy, he's gonna get a positive scan here. That is huge.
Ooh.
Knows that somebody's coming in, immediately forces himself into the tree line and blinks out, TP's out.
Spidey senses tingling, confirming that with the scan.
Anyway, Wyvern picked up a Blink Dagger. That could technically be a game changer. Being able to, you know, stay even further behind and making sure that you don't get caught up by the General or by the Night Stalker could be a play. But at the same time, I think the way General has been playing thus far, he's very thorough. Like, he's been searching for that Wyvern. He's, you know, going through tree lines. He has the gem, of course, so he always knows where they have vision or where they don't have vision. So he kind of knows how to play around that. And I'm not sure if this Blink Dagger is really going to change anything, but it has the potential to. And I think this is what Whites kind of have to bank on, really. Their bread and butter at the moment is just team fighting. They can't really go for solo pickoffs. I mean, they've been trying to, but even if they were to find Dendy, Dendy with his item build is really tanky. He has drums, he has Sanjiniashi, and he can switch to power treads with the Ring of Aquila. Suddenly he's sitting at like 2.5k HP, 2.5k HP, and like 20 armor.
Yeah, it is quite significant. Very hard to deal with indeed, but I don't know. They're trying to find ways here, they're trying to just delay the game at this point. Find the next round of items, fight the right angle, because it's really what it comes down to in Dota. It's why they won the last game, they kept finding a few of those eventually in these team fights. And the kills that they needed, and they still have the Nyx Assassin, who's continuing to be a nuisance if nothing else, and he's consistently finding these 2-man stuns whenever they're available.
It's honestly quite impressive the Nyx Assassin has so few deaths, considering, I mean, he died 8 times, but considering there's a Night Stalker with a gem running around. He's just been, like, he's been just finding those spots where he knows or where the Night Stalker just isn't there.
Yeah.
Now it looks like they're looking for a fight. I'm not sure why. Oh, the BKB is finished on Tiny. That's why they're looking for a fight. With the BKB, it's much easier for him to be active in those fights. You know, doesn't get kited around by a pesky cask or a void from the Night Stalker.
Yeah. So it's the Crimson Guard as well as the pipe, and they're running straight into NaVi. They realize that something's amiss here. There's still double stun after the double pit of Malice. They're focusing on task first, so no control factor, no snowball saves from him in this particular fight. Now the cast bouncing through absolutely everybody. Eclipse coming through, no creep of anything to tank it, but BKB says nope, and I guess Underlord also says nope, but they leave the Viper there.
Oh boy. That poor Viper.
Maybe it's the nerves a little bit kicking in.
You know, he's just trying to be part of the fight.
Yeah.
Oh, he's been behind all game. Wants just some of that residual, you know, assistance gold. And boy,
it's this one guy. Like, you're doing a project at school or something. That's this one guy that's just a little bit behind his workload. He wants to be friends with you. Wants to be useful, but then you just forget about him at a crucial moment.
Feels so bad for him.
Yeah, it actually gave NaVi the tier 2 tower.
Looks like they're gonna push in with this as well. I mean, hey, Viper's still down for like 20 seconds.
Yeah, we're laughing about it, but it's actually quite significant that it doesn't get TP'd out there, because that was supposed to be the plan. Realizing, alright, maybe they could have even considered the fight there, actually, with the BKB going in, but again, hindsight, not even 20/20 in this sense, because we have no idea, no way of figuring out what would have happened if they didn't pull the trigger on that, if they cancelled it or something.
Got it.
But the way it worked out, not taking everybody means that you give a free kill away, which is not ideal.
I mean, if you're Navi, you're not really, you don't feel pressured. You have the late game, 100%. You have the late game with SF Luna. You can, you know, just win one team fight, you take base, effectively.
Crystallize with the Rune of Many Winds. BKB used on frontlines this time from Dendi, chasing them all away, focusing on the Nyx Assassin, who's been the source of so much trouble for him, and he doesn't have buyback for 50 seconds. The cast bouncing between Underlord and Tiny. Now the Whiskers though, this time on the Luna, next to Dendi. Not enough though. The snowball coming through. Crystallize with the lifesteal still alive. Double kill for him and continuing to power through. Triple kill. All of a sudden, 4 heroes on the sidelines. The last man standing is the Winter Wyvern. Having to now he has to look at his base dying. No one is alive. No one can come back alive. And just like that, the game will end. GG, well played. NaVi, stave off defeat. Come back in game number 3. Turn this into a 2-1 scoreline here. ESL One Genting CIS qualifiers in the round of 8.
You called it the Rune of Many Wins, and in this game, it was the Rune of a Win. The DD rune, together with the Moscow Man, is able to sustain Crystallize there. Of course, it was the snowball from the Tusk to set it all up, but still, NaVi persevere here. Even if it doesn't come down to this huge player from the Tusk, they're still very much in the lead, they're very much in command of this game. Pretty much dominating this game throughout the entire, throughout most of it, really. Yeah, there were a couple of moments where, you know, it looked a little bit shaky, where the Tiny was able to find a couple of crucial kills and find a couple of crucial pickoffs. But NaVi, just the much better team here. I think in hindsight, you know, if you look at the entire series, you can definitely tell they're the better team, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Whites, I wouldn't call it a cheese pick with the Brute Mother, but, you know, they caught NaVi off guard. I think they just caught NaVi off guard with this very laning stage-centric lineup. And you can tell in this game, NaVi knew, all right, you're picking the same supports. I mean, this time around, we know how to pick you guys apart. You don't have the Brute Mother. We know how to make sure you don't get those kills. We know how to make sure these heroes are useless in a team fight, right? With the Night Stalker. So, NaVi, just a much more experienced team. But hey, White's very promising, honestly. I mean, the Viper, hey, you lost the mid lane really hard. Like, really, really hard. I don't think you should lose the mid lane that hard.
Well,
as the Viper. Yeah.
You're up against Dendi, right? I mean, I'll forgive it.
True.
I'll forgive it. So, but yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing them, more of them perhaps in other qualifiers. So there's certainly some promise, like, especially Nyx Assassin, once again, we keep going back to Nestoro. If he has other heroes that he can perform on like that, it's definitely a great quality to have on your team. But for now, that means that this series is done and dusted, I believe. Yeah, we're gonna go straight into Gambit vs Vega Squadron. That game has already started, I believe, so we're gonna see if you can go in through Dota TV for game number 1. Regardless of that though, we're gonna take a short break, figure all that out, but we'll be back soon, so don't go too far away.